Santa Fe, meet Ashley Detzel Roessler. Ashley is the founder of New Mexico Fight for Life, an organization dedicated to suicide prevention and awareness, as well as providing support for friends and family members who have lost a loved one due to suicide. In case you are not aware, New Mexico is 4th in the nation in suicide generally and 2nd in adolescent teen suicide. In this interview, Eli and JD take a deep dive into Ashley's past. She talks about losing her husband to suicide as she struggled to stop him, then the aftermath that sent her life into a spiral as she tried everything to make her pain go away. Ashley talks about treating her pain with poor diet, struggles with her weight eventually leaving her weighing almost 400 pounds. Today, Ashley has taken her life and her body back. Her organization, also armed with certified grief coach Katharina Becker, are making a big difference in our community. Just part of what New Mexico Fight for Life does is hold weekly support meetings specifically for people who have lost a loved one to suicide. There is also a yearly gala event that is open to the community. Unfortunately, our community is saturated with hurting people from suicide. Ashley looks for those people to offer them help. JD and I think you should take some time to listen to her story. Table of contents with shortcut links are in the description below. Whether you have lost a loved one to suicide, contemplated it yourself, or just want to hear a local hero's story, we hope that you will enjoy this episode of Who is Santa Fe?
Even the Rouge Cat? Even the Rouge Cat? Remember the Rouge Cat?
No, I never got kicked out of the Rouge Cat. I only went there twice.
Okay.
I don't want to talk
I still
about
love it. I used to love that place.
it. Yeah, I used to love that place too. Are we rolling yet, Sandra?
We are, but sometimes I just,
You're just going to want to double
like
check
to do one more
Sure.
little round.
My good daughter was very helpful.
We're a little loop-de-loo. Okay, we are rolling in 3, 2.
Ashley, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You have been through quite a lot, and you are the founder of New Mexico Fight for Life. Can you tell us a little bit about that organization?
Yeah, New Mexico Fight for Life is a nonprofit that was established about 3 years ago here in New Mexico. And what it is it is a nonprofit that we support survivors of suicide. So what that is that anyone who's lost a loved one to suicide, a friend to suicide, we support families, friends, community members, and then we also do suicide prevention work, go out and do trainings to teach businesses, communities, how to deal in the situation if somebody comes to them and says that they feel suicidal or they don't want to live anymore. We also do awareness work. So I go out and I tell my background and my story of why I created this nonprofit, just to bring awareness to mental health, to suicide, like, because unfortunately, like suicide, it has such a stigma around it, and that people are just, they really shy away from that, and they're really ashamed when you hear the word suicide. There's so many factors that I'm sure we'll get into here in a little bit, but yeah, so we do awareness work, we do prevention work, and then we support survivors of suicide. And then we also, if someone is struggling with their mental health, we also jump in and we get them resources, we get them help. So we're hitting like every area, basically. We're helping people who've lost, and then we're helping people who are struggling.
Okay. What kind of a problem is suicide? Because I think that, in my experience, a lot of people that have experienced a loved one that's passed away due to suicide kind of tend to keep it quiet. What can you tell us about the numbers?
So New Mexico ranks 4th in the nation for the highest suicide rate. We've been there for over decades. We also rank 2nd for teen and adolescent suicide. So we are among the highest rates in the United States. So, which is alarming, which is, in my opinion, is a state of emergency. You've got some major mental health issues going on within our state and have been for a while. There's been some numbers where there's been some decreases like this past year with women suicide. I looked up like just this morning, like it's gone down 40% for women taking their lives in New Mexico, but then men have jumped up to 30%, Hispanic men. So it's like a double-edged sword right now. It's just like almost like it's like we're on a teeter, like almost like we're on a, well, what do you call it? Like a scale. Yeah, and we're like just going back and forth right now. So New Mexico we are desperately in need for more mental health assistance and help. There's been bills and different things that have just been passed here in New Mexico, but we can get into that a little deeper here in a little bit, but where I'm seeing the issues are, I'm on the front lines, right? So I'm getting a lot of, visibility to the families, to the individuals that are suffering, and I'm seeing that we need this type of work, like boots on the ground, and support more in all areas here in New Mexico, not just in Santa Fe, not just in northern New Mexico, like especially like in our rural areas. There's not like programs set up out there and the resources set up out there that are being able to reach everyone across New Mexico as a state. So that's a really big problem too. So we're trying to build these programs. What New Mexico Fight for Life is we're trying to build these programs here, make them solid, so then I can expand out into those rural areas and start actually like making a difference out there. But my goal was to start in the core of like where I'm from, like where I live, where I'm from, and where I'm seeing the issues, and then expand out.
I mean, to be 4th in the nation, I mean, is alarming. And then to hear that we're 2nd when it comes to teen and adolescent suicide, I mean, it's an epidemic. This is something that our elected representatives really need to take note. And at least for me, I think that awareness to people is so important, because this is our community, this is our home, and for us to have that happening here it's a tragedy.
It's a major tragedy. I mean, just last week, I got a phone call. There was up north, there was a student the day before graduation. He was gonna graduate, he was gonna walk at graduation. He took his life. The next day, there was another 16-year-old that took their life in Santa Fe. We had another student a few days later, like within 5 days, there's 3 teenagers between the ages of 16 to 18 taking their lives. I mean, if that doesn't tell you something, my phone's been ringing off the hook. We already had families that were already using our services coming to our grief support groups literally like that week. And it was like boom, boom, boom. And that happens sometimes, right? And these are only the people that are reaching out to me that are asking for help, right? Like these are the people who are like, hearing about us through other people. I'm not even hitting, like, I'm a small percentage of hitting the people that are going through this. So that right there should show you, like, so many people are ashamed. There's so much stigma around it. So many people are afraid to ask for help, and people don't know about us because we are, brand new organization. And we can get into this a little bit later, but like of why I started this and stuff. The reason why I started this is because of my own personal story and like what I went through within, dealing with a suicide loss. So I just, I saw where we lacked, and I was so young when I went through loss of suicide that I was like, something needs to be done to support people because there's not programs and things set up that are just so readily available weekly and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Couple of questions about some things you just said. Number one, when you say that you're a kind of a new or a young organization, when was New Mexico Fight for Life founded? So
we were founded almost 3 years ago. I decided to go down and fill out the paperwork and establish our nonprofit on May 5th, and that's like a significant date. So I went down there. We can get into that here in a little bit, but like I went down and established us about 3 years ago on May 5th.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. You mentioned the word stigma a couple of times. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little more specifically what you mean about a stigma surrounding suicide?
So basically, like what I mean by that is that people, when you hear the word suicide, when someone takes their lives, it is such an abrupt loss. And most of the time when we speak to survivors, it comes out of nowhere. A lot of people who struggle with their mental health, depression, anxiety, PTSD, all these things that kind of like lead up into someone taking their life, they are ashamed. Most of the time they don't want to tell their close loved ones that they, are feeling this way because they don't want to bring their pain and sadness onto their loved ones. I know this, pretty deeply because I myself struggled after I've lost very close people to me to suicide. It's something that is very deeply, deeply personal, and there's so much shame around it. People think that, you've got different religions that believe that you're damned to hell if you kill yourself. We live in a very, New Mexico, we're very Catholic based here in New Mexico. And so like Catholicism for years and years and years believed that if you kill yourself, you're damned to hell. So there's so much shame in that. Years later, I believe like one of the popes came out and said, spoke out about that and said, we don't believe that now, blah, 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 blah. And like came and said that, but there's still that old,
Yeah, and I can speak on that a little bit because I'm pretty well versed in Christianity and Catholicism, and I can say that church tradition has taught that, but that's nowhere in the Bible.
Right.
The Bible doesn't say that.
Right.
And just getting back to again what you were saying about the stigma, when you say, shame and people around make assumptions about maybe what happened or what was going on in the home.
Yeah, like a lot of people think also it's like the coward way out, like that's the easy way out, like you didn't deal with this shit that you were going through, so you just took the easy way out instead of like pushing through and not being strong enough. A lot of people look at it like, because this child took his life, maybe the parents weren't, active parents weren't involved, didn't love them enough. I mean, spouses, like people who've lost spouses, they think, what was really going on in the home? Like, were they really in love? Were they really happy? Was there something else going on? Did somebody do something to hurt the other one so deeply that that's why they killed themselves? So there's all these, thoughts. And believe me, like, before I kind of went through what I have gone through, when I have ever heard of someone taking their lives, I was judgmental. Like when you don't go through, when you've not been through something, you don't understand it on the depth of what it really is. And I can say, like, as when I was younger, like, I just was like, oh, there's probably more of the story. And as I've done this work and as I've gotten to know these families and these people and through my personal experiences, I've realized that it's so much deeper than that. That like there's so many different reasons why people take their lives. Of course, depression, anxiety, PTSD, things like that. But sometimes, I always tell people it's a permanent mistake you can't come back from. It's like some people get into such a low moment and they just think in that moment, like, I need to stop the pain, and so I'm gonna do this. And I can, and hearing all the stories like of things leading up to like the days when people have lost their loved ones, was speaking with survivors and stuff, most of the time these people are having most beautiful moments with their loved ones. They're making future plans. I myself, the individuals that I've lost to suicide were like making future plans with me. So it's like in your mind, you're like, how are they really actually, do they really want to leave? Like, did they just get into just such a moment? And like I said, it's just a permanent mistake you can't come back from. You can make mistakes in drinking, drugging, if you screw up at work, like, you can come back from all those things, you know what I mean? But this is just incredibly permanent. And it's just a split second decision that somebody makes. And, that's the brutality of it.
I had a friend in the military, and I was talking to him the night before he committed suicide, and I didn't really know what was going on in his life, but we were just carrying on a good conversation, talking. The next night he took his life, and I found out they brought a lot of us, this is all in the military, they brought us in, were talking to us, but he'd lost his, he had suffered a divorce and lost custody of his kids. He was getting ready to deploy, and it's really shocking. And I think when we talk about the stigma, I mean, there's kind of like institutional stigma as well. I know from the military perspective, we do these kind of cookie cutter courses on anti-suicide awareness or suicide awareness. But then when somebody starts speaking up and saying, I need help, often it results in them being, kind of excommunicated from the military. So it's kind of that double-edged sword when it comes to speaking out. But it's a sad thing, and it happens, and you don't even know. There were no signs really.
So that to me was like, we're doing this to our servicemen and women, so like they're struggling, and then we're like, okay, we're just gonna let you go, and then wash our hands. And that has been and that I can only imagine, that's just within my life that I know about. Like, I can only imagine how many other people have gone through that.
It's terrible, because what happens is they take away, a community from them. And when you do that, now if you really thought you were isolated and alone, now you are in some respects, because you've lost that camaraderie that you did have with your unit and your soldiers. And, so it kind of often serves as even more of a catalyst for that kind of progression towards what eventually takes place.
So Ashley, founding New Mexico Fight for Life and doing everything that you do really for free, just out of passion. I know that a lot of that drive comes from what you've been through. Can you just tell us a little bit about your past? Just tell us your story. Where are you from? Where did you come from, and what's behind all of this passion, Ashley? What's your story?
Okay. So I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. The reason I came to New Mexico, which is a question I get asked all the time, is because my husband, Justin Hatfield, my first husband, he got offered an awesome job out here to work for Pajarito Scientific Corporation. And so he got offered a job. And I never even heard of New Mexico. Like, I never even heard anything about New Mexico. So literally he went in for a job interview on a Tuesday. They offered him the job like the next day. He called me on the phone. He's like, start packing up the house. I'm going to stay here for 3 months. I'll come back and get you. And we're moving to New Mexico.
And you were married at this point?
Yeah, we were married.
Okay.
And I had known Justin. Justin and I had known each other since we were 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So we've known each other through childhood. We went to the same middle school. We went to the first year of high school together. And then I went to another high school I was in like a music program there. And so I switched high schools to go pursue like music and stuff. And then he stayed at my old high school. And then we had a lot of mutual friends. We were around each other and stuff. And then when I went away to school, I went away to college, and then he went off and did his thing. And then a couple of our friends got married, and we like reconnected like when our friends got married and they were getting ready to move. So we were all spending time with the husband and wife before they moved. And then we reconnected, and then we fell crazy madly in love, like super fast, and became inseparable like pretty quickly. And we got married. And
how old were you when you got married?
I was just early 24 years old, so I was young.
Okay.
Super young.
Okay.
And we got married, and we lived in Cincinnati for a little while, and then that's when he got offered the job for New Mexico. So he literally got offered the job like the next day. They wanted him immediately.
And that was up at the labs, I think.
So it was through this organization called Pajarito Scientific Corporation, through this company, and they would do contract work for the lab. So he worked for the company for about a year and a half or so, and then they started doing contract work for the lab, so then he was up at the lab.
Okay.
So
what was your marriage like?
It was happy. It was magic. We really loved each other. We had a lot of fun together. I always say he's like my birthday twin. He was 2 years older than me, but he was born the day before me. So we were both Virgos. He was the September 1st. I was September 2nd. So we like really understood each other. There were similarities with us, but then there was like complete opposite parts of us. He was super loving, super romantic, super fun. Like I said, we're crazy about each other. He used to say to me all the time, like, we're so lucky. Like, what we have is just amazing, and people, look for this their whole lives. He was very, he was like old school in the sense, like he would play like record. He did like, the techie, software engineering type of stuff, like, for work and all that, but then he was like very into music, and his hobby was music. So music played through our house all the time. He had like record players and stuff. So there was like always like a record player playing and music playing. Like I woke up to music, I fell asleep to music. And I was very into music and like a singer like my whole life. And when I was little, my mom was very, music always played in my nursery. When I fell asleep, when I woke up, we were just very connected to music. He used to, we were always dancing in the kitchen. It was always fun. We were always like entertaining friends. We were young, we didn't have kids, so like it was just us. So I feel like we really bonded with it being just the two of us. He was a really deep person, very, like wanting to take care, very nurturing. I never had to worry about anything with Justin. He kind of, he had a lot of things, that I think he kept hidden, but it's almost like you wouldn't even know that because he was so attentive and wanted me to be so happy, and like he was so focused on, I feel like me when I look back now, that it's almost like it was like he was shielding maybe like some of the stuff that he was feeling inside, like he was overly like compensating for something.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like you're describing somebody who would harm themselves.
Yeah. He didn't show me like any type of like signs of any of that until literally the last 6 months of his life.
Well, what happened?
So, I was, we were in our upper 20s at that point. We were living here in New Mexico for a couple years, and I wanted to have a baby. And I, went to him and I was like, hey, like, we want to talk about like maybe starting a family. Like, I really want to have a baby with you. I mean, and it was like instantly I could tell, like he, Justin he always wanted to make me happy. And it was like almost like something hit, like I could see, like I knew him like the back of my hand, right? Like that really jolted him, and he's like, I don't know if I can be a dad. And it was almost like I kicked this trigger off. And then like a few days later, he told me like, Ash, like I know like he was estranged from his family like the last 5 years of his life. There was a lot of abuse and things that went on in his family, and he removed himself from situations that he didn't want to be a part of, and that was his decision, and I didn't know the depths of it until we started talking about having a family. And he came to me and he's like, I just don't know, like I struggle internally, Ash, and I just don't want to pass that on to our baby. And I thought, oh, what? Like it was almost like jolting that he would say that to me. And I was like, okay. And he's like, and I didn't have the best, childhood. And like we lived 1.5 miles away from each other, and we lived completely different lives. Like I lived in this like fairy tale Disney World family, mom and dad involved around everything. And then he lived 1.5 miles away from me, and there was a lot of secrets, there was a lot of abuse, all these things. Like there was a lot of struggle there.
Yeah.
He moved out when he was 17 years old, like
Out of his house at 17 years old. Okay.
he moved out of his house when he was 17 years old, got into the military. Then when he came back, like we talked about earlier, when he got honorably discharged, he put himself through school. He bought his first house at 24. It was like almost like when you look at it, you're like, holy shit, like he actually like he's pulling himself out of like what's pulling him down.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, you're like, wow, like he's remarkable that he can like get away from all that toxicity and stuff. So so back to the baby thing. So he's like, I just don't want to pass on like what I feel inside. And he's like, Ash, like I've always struggled with depression. And he showed me just such a different side. You know what I mean? It's almost like he hid like the sad parts. And maybe because when I look back now, I'm like, maybe I was so focused on us and like making sure I was always happy and that we were having a good time. Like I didn't see that so deeply. And then like a few weeks later, he told me, we had a spiral staircase at our old house here in Santa Fe, and he sat down on the top of the staircase and he's like, hey Ash. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, the only thing keeping me going is you know that, right? And I just remember like I can physically like to this day like feel my heart just drop like to the floor and being like, we're in deep shit. Because for a human being to say like, hey, like you're the only thing keeping me going, that you're in, like, you can't live for other people, right? Like, so I just remember being like, oh no, like, and I'm like, what? And he's like, you're the only thing that is keeping me going. So I kind of did something that like I've never did in our relationship in all the years that we were together. I'm like, I I don't, like, you're gonna have to see, you need to go see a doctor, you need to go see a therapist, and we need to work through this. Like, baby stuff on hold. Like, that doesn't matter. If you're feeling like this down to tell me that I'm the only thing keeping you going, like, this isn't good. He refused to go to a therapist. He said he wasn't ready yet to deal with some of the things that he'd been through, because he said he had been through some pretty hard things. He elaborated that the abuse in his home was from one of his brothers, and he said another neighbor. He refused to tell me who the neighbor was, because I'm almost 100% sure I know who it is.
That was
he
abusing him.
He didn't want to tell me. He didn't want to tell me the name, nothing, because his brother was in prison at the time.
Okay.
So I think he knew I couldn't get to his brother, right? Because his brother's away. But I think it was somebody that we grew up with, and that he didn't want me to know who the hell it was. And he said that whole situation, like, really ruined his childhood, and that, you know, it brings him a lot of sadness and pain. So of course, you know, I'm like, you need to go talk to a therapist about this. Like, and he told me this is the only time that he had ever really opened up about, like, that type of abuse, and that this went on for years on end. And it was not just like physical sexual abuse. Like, it was horrific abuse, you know, like stuff that you just hear about, like, in movies. So he goes to a doctor, and he goes to the doctor. I'm like, do you want me to go with you? He's like, no, like, I'll go. And so they put him on 5 medications. They put him on 4 antidepressant anxiety medications.
All at once?
All at once. And a sleeping med. So I don't know why I held on to this for so long. I mean, did I have this feeling that I was, like, someday gonna, like, actually talk about this? Did I, you know, was this just like my hold on to, this is what the perfect storm parts that led to him taking his life? I don't know, but I brought it today because it's pretty wild when I look back now. So, like, he was put on, so he goes in to the doctor, right? And he goes, you know, he's telling him that he's struggling and he's, you know, suffering and this, that, and the other. And a doctor literally, in the first visit, prescribes him 1, 2, 3, 4 fucking antidepressants, anxiety meds. You look them all up. And then he's saying he's struggling, you know, right? What he's going through, and they put him on a fucking sleeping med. And I'm in my 20s, like, I've always been taught, like, doctors are there to help you. They're the helpers of the world. Like, you're supposed to trust them. And you go in and you have one appointment and you just load someone up like this. That's wild. It's wild. And then, like, and everyone sees it on TV, you hear it. It's like, well, you know, this, you know, side effect is suicide ideation. And so is this one. And so is this one. So is this one. And then you're like, so we're giving people antidepressants, we're giving people anxiety medication to try to help them through their pain. And then if they fuck up taking this shit, then we're like, okay, like, you might want to kill yourself. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's just crazy. It's like giving somebody who's addicted to meth. And, like, maybe just giving them a little bit less of meth, right? Like, to try to help them get off of meth. I mean, it's kind of wild, like, when I look at it 12 years later, that this doctor did that on the first visit, and then he came home with all this. And I was so naive and so young that like I didn't snap. I just want my husband to not feel this way and to not worry that he is going to take his life or that he is going to do something that's going to happen to him. Like I trusted this medical professional who went through school for all these years to make the right decision. But really, like, they're making these fucking decisions when people walk in the door after 30 minutes. If you're lucky, if you're in there for 30 minutes, right? Like, if you're lucky, you're in there for 30 minutes. So, for me, when I look at this, I'm like, holy shit. These medications, now don't get me wrong. I have people that come to me, guys, and they say to me, hey, Ash, once I got on meds, like things got better, this helped me. I have people that have had kids like in situations and they'll swear by it. But those are the people that are diligent with their medication. They keep journals, they work with their doctors, like they write down their side effects weekly. Like you have to be, when you're taking this kind of stuff to help you, you have to be so proactive, almost to the point where you're like neurotic about it. Because what happens with some of these medications is that they work for a little while and then they stop. Or you get a weird side effect, or it works for a little while and then they need to up the dose so that you can get more. And then most of the time people get on these medications and they can't get off of them. So then, and the problem with these types of medications is if they haven't been in like the universe for that long. So that's why these side effects are so, it's astronomical, the list of side effects. It's almost like the drug companies are like, we better list all this stuff because we don't know what's going to happen when someone is on this for 25 years, right?
This is putting a Band-Aid on an arterial bleed.
Yeah.
You know, these types of traumas run so deep, and what you're doing is really trying to pacify it, but it makes, in many ways, worse.
Yeah.
Because now there's an absolute dependency on it. Mm-hmm. And then to get off of it is certainly, you know, now not an option.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a huge problem in the United States when, you know, medical professionals or therapists can just immediately diagnose you with something as opposed to sometimes, you know, the holistic approach. And I know that's just my opinion, but it's alarming. And I've had friends that have had to get onto medication and getting off of it was even worse for them. Can you tell me about the night he died of suicide?
That week, like leading up, I'll give you like a little background on the week. So he was all over the place, like super erratic. He was up and down a lot. But the day of, I got up in the morning, he was, struggling. Like another thing the doctor says, I want to jump back for a second. The one thing a doctor said is she also diagnosed him with bipolar disorder, and his mother had bipolar disorder, so that wasn't like a far-fetched thing for me to, and I had seen him like have mood swings up and down, so that wasn't like a weird thing. So when he was kind of erratic that week, he couldn't find his meds, and he called me, and I was out at an event, and he was freaking out, and he thought they were in my car, and I get home, and he's all upset, and I'm like, chill out, like, what's going on? And, and he's like, I couldn't find my meds, and I need my meds, and the tire broke on my, my bike, because he was a bike rider, and, he was all over the place. And on Wednesday night, he died on a Saturday night. He died on Cinco de Mayo. But on Wednesday night, I walked out in the living room, and he was doing cocaine in the living room. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, he was contracting at the lab. Like, they randomly drug tested the lab. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And like, don't get me wrong, we were younger, like we were in our early 20s, we were in the music scene and stuff, like cocaine, drugs, stuff like that, like that was out at shows and stuff. We would party when we were younger, but like we had like established careers. We weren't partying on that level, like to be doing that on a Wednesday night, you know? And I was like, what is going on? And he said to me, I just want to feel numb. And I was like, well, this isn't going to work. I was like, and this is why you need to go talk to a therapist, because you're struggling and you're telling me you want to be numb.
He was looking for something. To
numb him.
To numb himself.
Yeah, like he literally said, I want to be numb. And I'm like, this is why, and I went down the whole thing, like, this is why, you need to go talk to a therapist, this, that, and the other. So the next couple days go on, he called off work. I go to work. He writes me like this letter, I'm so sorry, I promise I'll go to therapy next week. Will you take off and take me? I'm thinking, okay, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Like, he wants to go talk to somebody. I feel like I finally, I'm like, okay, he's gonna go on Monday, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we didn't make it to Monday. On Saturday morning, I got up, I went and met a girlfriend, we went and got pedicures, I grabbed lunch real fast, I ran to the Verizon store, I came home, and he was still sleeping. I woke him up, and I'm like, hey bud, like, you okay? And he's like, I'm just so tired. And I was like, all right. And he gets up, and we had just moved to a new place, so like a lot of our stuff was like in boxes. And he sits down, we watch TV together. When I think back now, like I was sitting on the floor, and he was sitting in the chair, and he was just like, we were watching, like Friends was on, and I remember looking up at him, and he was like just like staring at me, like almost like, now I see it so differently. Like it's almost like he was like memorizing my face or something. Like he was looking at me so loving and sweet, and I was just like he's struggling, but like we're still, like we're gonna get through this. Like in my mind, I'm like, we're gonna get through this. Like we're gonna get help, like he's seeing a doctor. I've already put in PTO for Monday to be off work to go find a therapist, and get him help. Like I'm getting there. Like, we were intimate. We had sex. I was like, I'm hungry. Like we went to Capitol Grill in Santa Fe. It was Cinco de Mayo. We sat at the bar. He ordered beer and a shot, which he wasn't really much of a shot drinker, but he was like, oh, it's Cinco de Mayo. And then like the bartender was like, hey, it's on me, guys. And the bartender does the shot with us for Cinco de Mayo. I ordered wings. Like I'll never forget. You remember every little detail, because you go over this whole day in your head like 100 million trillion fucking times, after the tragedy happens. But I eat wings. He doesn't want to eat. But he looks at me, he's like, our wedding anniversary was literally a couple weeks coming up. He's like, he's the one bringing it up, right? Like, I'm not even thinking about like celebrating or anything like right now. Like, I'm just more worried about that he's like struggling and he's up and down and he's doing like weird things. And I'm just like more focused on that and trying to be like supportive and loving and stuff. He says to me that he's like, we're gonna do this for anniversary and that for anniversary, and I want to do this, babe, and that. And then he looks at me, he's like, I'm so sorry, like I can't give you a baby. And I like, it kind of came out of nowhere, and I was like, it's okay. I was like, is that like, what is like getting you so upset? Like, I don't care. Like, yes, do I want a family with you? You're the one person in the world that I want that with, of course. But I want you to be okay. And if you're not 100% in that decision to have a baby, like, I don't want that. I want you. Like, I married you. You're my person. Like, I reassured him. Like, it wasn't like I was sitting there crying, like, oh my God, you're not giving me a baby. Like, I was just all like, I love you. And of course I want that with you, but I want you to be okay. And you can almost tell like that started to like shift it a little bit. Like, it went from this like loving like moment, we're talking about wedding anniversary, this, that, and the other. And then he like brought up in a moment, then it started kind of going on this path of like sadness. Like, he's like, I really miss my grandpa and stuff. Like, he was just like, I miss that guy. And I'm like, oh, sorry, babe. Like, it was like the only family member in his life that he was like connected to. And so anyway, so then I finished eating. He's being loving with me. I mean, we're being our normal selves, like touchy-feely, cutesy, you know, and I'm just like, it's okay, honey. Like, but then he gets in the car and it was like this switch went off and he's like, I just want to feel numb. Like what he said on Wednesday night when like I had, you know, caught him like with cocaine. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, honey, this is why, you know, we really need to talk to like a professional and why you're feeling this way so you can learn like, you know, healthy coping ways and stuff when you're feeling this way. And he drove to the house and he was pretty quiet. And then we get to the house and he's like, I just want to feel numb, Ash. Like, I just want to feel numb. And he takes off out the front door and he had this green, like sporty, like Acura. And there was a bunch of sand because it's New Mexico, right? And he gets in the car and I just hear him like revving, like he's like stuck in the sand. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then it was like something like out of another world. It was like, he was getting so frustrated. He got the car stuck. I'm like, what the fuck? I was trying to tell him, I was like, you don't need to leave or go anywhere. You just had a beer and a shot. It's Cinco de Mayo. Like, you know how cops are in New Mexico. They're out everywhere. Like, you didn't eat anything all day, you know? Like, just come inside, like, chill. Vanessa's on her way over. And he just, nope. He stayed out there screwing with the car. He couldn't get the car out of the sand. And then he just came into the house. Like, it was like a different human being came into my house. It was like he came in this rage. He's like, I'm going to kill myself, Ash. I can't do this anymore. Whoa. Like, you need to let me go. Like, he's literally telling me, like, I'm going to kill myself, Ash. Like, and he says it to me, like, very,
how did that, I mean, how did you even react to that? I mean, your spouse is out there in the car, you know, revving it, trying to leave, comes in and says that to you.
I literally was like, stay calm, because, you know, I was in the social work field, like in situations like this, when people have meltdowns, freakouts, episodes, all those things, you're taught to remain calm, talk to them calmly, like all that. I don't know what came over me, like where I was able to like actually do that. I'm like, it's Ash, like take a deep breath, let's sit down. He was like, no, he was literally like, it was like a person was in my house, like I said, that I didn't even know. It was like he was ripping down everything, throwing things, boxes. He was like searching for his gun because we had just moved, so there's boxes everywhere. So it was almost like he was like destroying everything in his, like, I mean, he was just like throwing things. Like,
he was on a mission.
He was on a mission, and I'm like, no, like, you know, let's take a deep breath, this, that, and the other. He finds the gun, and then it was like a battle ensured. Like, I literally knocked the gun out of his hands like 5 times. And the only reason, and the dog was jumping up trying to get in between us because he could tell like there was a struggle going on. I mean, Justin had never put his hands on me, hurt me, done anything to me. He's the most loving, amazing human being ever. And he kept saying, Ash, you have to let me go. Like, and if you don't let me go, I'm going to take you with me.
So you just kind of knocked the gun out of his hand 5 times. Like, what did that look like? How long did that take? Like, what was happening there? Were you in the living room?
We went like from the front of the house to the living room, like into the kitchen, then back into the living room. I mean, it was a full on, like, I was like, he is gonna, like, I literally felt in that moment like he is gonna kill him. He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill himself. Like,
and he had the gun in his hand.
He had a gun in his hand, and I was like literally like tackling him, jumping on him, and like literally knocking it out of his hand. It was
so what happened?
Wild.
What happened when you knocked it out of his hand?
It would like get loose, and then he would go to get it, and then like the dog was in between us. It was like the most brutal, wild, like, you know, it's like almost like when you're like a kid and you're wrestling with somebody and you're like, you know, trying to keep someone away from somebody. Like, that's like, it looked like that, but like.
So five times, and how long a period of time was this?
Yeah, like that was, this went on probably for at least 5-10 minutes. it could have even been a little bit longer.
Which is an eternity, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was brutal. He was crying, you know, and I was just like, don't go. Like, you know, I was just like, I love you. I'm here. Like, I mean, I'm saying like all these like things to try to snap him. And it was like, almost like I couldn't even, like, it's almost like his face looked different. It's like he was just saying weird things like, no, like, I'm going, Ash. Like, you have to let me go. It was almost like I was in there with a different person. Like, he didn't even sound recognizable. He didn't look recognizable. It was like, who is this person that like went into my husband's body? It was wild. He was even like, he loved animals and stuff, and he was even like pushing the dog away, and like he would like, you know, like kicking out the dog, and like he, like his animals were his world. Like he was doing things that's like, I've known this man since I was 13 years old. I've been around him in all different periods of our lives. Like he was just doing unrecognizable things. He told me, Ashley, I'm gonna take you with me if you don't stop. And the only reason he got away from me is he put the gun right in my face. And I closed my eyes for like a split second, and I like was like, I took a deep breath because I was like, okay, like I'm gonna die. Like we're gonna, like this like, I just took a deep breath, like he's gonna shoot me. Cause like I was like, I'm not gonna let him go. Like he's not, like this isn't him right now. I've got to snap him out of whatever is going on right now. And he put the gun in my face. I took a deep breath. I closed my eyes. I opened my eyes back up, and the minute that he realized, like when I opened my eyes back up, he pulled the gun back and he shot himself right here. And he shot himself from, I'm further away from you, both of you, than we were. Like you, right in front of my face. And then I grabbed him, and it was like that split second, he had this look on his face, like, oh my God, what the fuck did I just do? Like I saw it. Like it was like a millisecond, but it was like I saw it. And I try to share that with other survivors, because I'm like, a lot of people come to us and they say, hey, like, I got in a fight with my loved one, or I should have loved on them, or I should have did this, I should have did that, and you know, I screwed up, and like they feel this guilt. And I share the brutality of what Justin and I went through, because I was physically fucking there, and it was like he couldn't see me, couldn't hear me. So I always try to tell people, like, sometimes it's their pain and what they're going through is so much deeper than, you know, and this is hard for people to hear. Like, it just shadows over that. When I grabbed him, I like died right there with him. Like I couldn't even fucking believe it. I was just like, what just happened?
wow.
Yeah, it was wild. I screamed, I held him. I laid him on the couch. I tried calling his best friend, and he didn't answer.
You laid him on the couch?
I laid him on the couch. And then I called his best friend. He was sleeping. I called 911. I guess then after that I called our friends, and I just said, Justin shot himself. Like I didn't say like he killed himself. So they all flew to the house because they didn't know like if he was dead or alive. And Vanessa was pulling up as the paramedics and the police and everybody was pulling up. And I ran outside, and Vanessa's like, what the fuck is going on? And I just like told her. She like fell to the ground. And then, you know, they all come in, and they put me in the ambulance, and I'm all fucked up because we're in a fucking brutal like showdown, you know? And they want to take me to the hospital, and I'm like, fuck no, you're not taking me to the hospital. Like, I'm fine. The paramedic kit guy, he's like got so emotional, and it was like I was comforting him. Like he's like, I'm so sorry, I don't even know what to say to you. Like he didn't know what the fuck to say to me. And it was like, when I look back now, I'm like, fuck, like we don't even, some of our people in these crisis situations, this is so heavy for them. Like they, like it's, suicide just doesn't affect your loved ones, it affects the community. Like paramedics are crying, like everyone's beside themselves. My friends all pull out, the cops come out, they're like, hey honey, like sorry, you're gonna have to get, you need to go sit in the back of the cop car. And so I went in the back of the cop car, and my friend goes over and she's like, this is freaking bullshit. And he's like, well, she needs to write a statement. She's like, are you fucking serious? She can't write a fucking statement. Give me the fucking paper. I'll ask her what happened. And she like basically just threw a fit, and I think just wore the cop down. And he's like, okay, she can go sit in the back of the car with you. My dogs were in the house. I was like, can they get the dogs out? They're like, Ashley, you have to stay till the coroner comes because she has a sign. So I just sit in the back of my friend's car, and she's like, you gotta tell me everything so like they don't like think you did something wrong. So it's like my girlfriend is sitting there writing out the fucking statement of me telling her in the back of the car. It was wild. The coroner comes, it feels like forever because they take forever to get there. And then they're like, okay, you need to bring Ashley to the police. You need to bring Ashley to the station because we have to interview her and stuff. So they take me to the station. They gave me my phone and like my best friend. Like, I don't know if I just needed to say it to somebody. Like, my parents didn't even know yet, nothing. And I just wrote a Harv, and I'm like, Justin killed himself. It was like almost like I needed to say it, like out loud, like say it.
Yeah.
And I always apologize to her, like, so sorry, babe, I texted that to you. That's so fucked up. And she's like, no, you just needed to say it. It's okay. I don't know why I did that. Like, you do wild things when you look back, like when you go through this. And then, so they took me to the station, they take me in this room, and it's just like in the movies, like they got the camera right there, they got the light on you, and he's like, I need you to tell me everything that happened. And so I have to go through it again. After I've already like told my friend everything, they've written down everything, like they're making me go through this again. And then at the end, he looks at me and he goes, I'm sorry I had to put you through this, Ashley. Like, we have protocol, and I'm gonna deem this as a suicide. You're free to go. They took his gun. They had, so I get in the car, and my friends take me to their house, and they're all making phone calls and calling my family, and they're all getting on planes to get out of here. And I just remember being like, this like cannot be real. Like, how do you go from, like, he was struggling and stuff, but then there's these like moments of sweetness. God, he was so loving with me hours before he killed himself. We were intimate. Like, he was, he's the one planning our freaking anniversary and being so loving and great. And then to go out so brutally and then to do things that are so out of character, it fucks with you. Like, the pain of it is like horrendous, because it's almost like you're like, was that the same day? And it literally was within hours. I got an autopsy report, and the autopsy doctor called me, and he said to me, hey, I'm not here to make people feel better. As you can probably tell, like, my job is tough. But I want you to tell me, like, can you tell me, like, what kind of happened and stuff? Because I'm seeing some things, and from the report of, like, what you had told us is that he was on medication and stuff. And, I tell him, like, and, like, what he did right before he killed himself. He's like, I understand that you were there. And I said, yeah. And he goes, honey, there was no medication in his system. So he had to have fucking gone off in cold turkey. Didn't tell anybody, is what it sounds like. He's like, and clearly he was in a crazy ass psychosis the way that you were explaining it to me. He was like, there was nothing, and he's like, I don't say this to people normally when I call them, but he's like, I need you to understand something. I don't usually talk shit about other doctors. I don't usually, say things like that about people in the medical field. He's like, first off, he should never have been on that much medication. That's fucking outrageous. Secondly, he was clearly in a psychosis. He went off his medication cold turkey. It's not in the system. He's like, there's barely any cocaine in the system. Because, I had told him like he's like, that's not what he's like, I mean, this is a perfect storm. He's like, clearly he was coming down off all this medication, the stuff that you have, listed on here. Because I read, everything. He had the list of everything. And he's like, clearly he was just trying to come back up. It makes sense that he would want, he was trying to feel numb, trying to come up. He was unbalanced. He was like, but he was in a psychosis and there was nothing. He's like, I don't give a shit how big you are. I don't give a shit how strong you think you are. Like, he was in a crazy, crazy episode. He's like, that a lot of us doctors can't stop people from. He's like, that is outrageous, the stuff that he was on. And he literally said that to me, and I kind of hit the floor. Like, you start to beat yourself up, right? Because you're like, fuck, why wasn't I more like in tune with what they prescribed him? Why wasn't I on his...
But you're not a doctor.
I'm not.
JD, she was, in a situation where a doctor prescribed her husband this kind of medication. And then she has the doctor that's doing the autopsy saying it's crazy that he's on all that stuff and that he stopped it suddenly. I mean, that's...
We've kind of talked about it before. I mean, this is a machine sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it becomes very impersonal when a doctor will just, take all of this. And, I think in America, we suffer from a real problem when it comes with the pharmaceutical companies and lobbyists towards doctors, because they make money by pushing out this type of medication. And so sometimes it's profit over people. Mm-hmm. Ashley, can you tell us what life was like after Justin died by suicide?
Mm-hmm. Brutal. In the beginning, you feel so surrounded by love, and people are just like coming from all angles and doing all these amazing, beautiful things for you. And, you're still in a state of shock, and people just swarmed me. But then after your front row at the funeral, on a Tuesday night at 7:00, everybody goes back to life, and you are there trying to pick up the pieces. I moved right away. I didn't stay in the home that we had just gotten, so I moved right away. So I went home to my family's for about a month and a half. And then I came back out and had to find a new place to live. Justin was the breadwinner of our family. I was a social worker at the time. I made a whopping $36,000 a year. I made nothing. I was like, how the hell am I going to live in Santa Fe? My dad, when he got out here, him and a couple of my friends literally packed all my shit and put it in storage, mine and Justin's stuff. And then I couldn't afford the cars that we had. We had a couple cars because he had project cars and stuff. So I had to give back the cars. I had to leave the house. I couldn't afford where I was there. So it was very abrupt for me because it was like I didn't have a chance to hold on to some of his things. To go sit in his car and feel his presence and that, and I had to sell it right away. his best friend literally took 6 months off of his life to take care of me, and I was in shambles. And I don't think I even knew what true friendship was until I saw like what Ben did for me in the first 6 months. I couldn't sleep for the first 6 months. I couldn't sleep for a long time. But the first 6 months were brutal. I had to go back to work after a month and a half because I had to survive. I realized that I couldn't be a case manager and take care of 55 other people because I needed to take care of myself. I went and so I quit my job that I loved. I felt like a fucking failure because here I was doing this job helping people, and then the one person that I love more than anything I couldn't help. I did like amazing things as a case manager and helping people and all these things, and like my bosses would tell me like, oh my God, you're making so much progress, you've done like more than anyone's done here and this, that, and the other. But it was like I was drowning because I was like the one person I love and that I wanted to save, I couldn't save. So I wrote an email to my boss and I said, I can't do this anymore and I have to quit. And I quit, and it killed me to quit because I felt like I was quitting on 55 people that I loved and that I was working with. But I knew in my soul, like, I wasn't in the right place to help people. I tried to go work at a homeless youth shelter about a month later. I did that for like a year, but it was brutal still too. And then I saw this little ad on Craigslist that Santa Fe Ski Basin needed a ski and snowboard program director for Chipmunk Corner. And so I just applied, like, I can run a program, right? Like, I've done all these other things, like, I don't ski and snowboard. Well, they thought, like, I was, like, the best candidate because I didn't ski and snowboard, so I wouldn't be taking ride breaks, right? So I started going up the mountain every day. And when I look back now, it was probably the best thing for me because it cut me off from the world. I didn't have access to that cell phone. Like, it took me to a place that was beautiful and magical and where everybody was happy. But I was the saddest girl on the mountain. There were days when I would drive up that mountain and I would just want to run my fucking car off the side of the road. And I like imagined it all the time. Those were the days when, like, to be alone in the car ride up the mountain, I would cry going up the mountain and cry going down the mountain. It was like where I could scream and yell and be alone. His best friend took care of me for 6 months. He put his whole entire life on hold. There were moments when, he was literally picking me up off the gravel driveway in so many moments. There were moments when I would try to go to work and I would walk out of the bathroom and I would just hit the floor and he'd be, literally, like, Ben was like picking me up, wiping my face, like, come on, you gotta push through another day. I was extremely suicidal. I had a plan how to kill myself. I didn't want any of my loved ones to find me. I had a plan that I was gonna call 911 and tell them, I'm gonna kill myself, you need to send paramedics here so that professionals could come and retrieve my body. Ben ended up showing up that day when I wanted to do that, and I had a super big breakdown, and he said something so profound that stuck with me to this day. And he's like, babe, like, you cannot let go. Like, don't let go. He's like, you've got to break this fucking cycle. Like, Justin couldn't do it anymore, so you got to do it for you, and you got to do it for him. And you can't put me and your mom and your dad and your sisters through what you're going through. He's like, you gotta break it, babe. He's like, you can do it, just break it. And it was like, I had never grieved that deeply, and then to grieve with his best friend who worked with him every day, like, I knew, like, he was feeling the guilt of it too, like, because he was with them every single day, like me, right? Like, so it was wild to go through that. I couldn't sleep at night, and like Ben would like would lay with me and put music on and put fans on. He would try every little thing ever. He'd even try to sing with me, and he sucks at freaking singing. And I was just lay there. He would make me laugh. You know, like, believe me, there's nothing sexy about laying in bed with like somebody, like that's some true ass friendship, like to lay in bed with somebody as they're screaming and crying for their person that took their life and their best friend. Like it was almost like I didn't even know friendship till Ben like mirrored it back to me. And like for him to put his life on hold for 6 months, like those first 6 months to like basically, I think a lot of people thought because Justin, our love was so deep and we were so crazy in love, I think they were ready for us to Romeo and Juliet and way out there. Like they were waiting for me to kill myself. A lot of people were. Like I think that's probably why Ben stayed with me for those first 6 months, to protect me, like to be like, I need to make sure she doesn't go. And like he felt like he needed to watch over me, you know, because my family was, you know, on the other side of the country. It was brutal. I tried to drink. That didn't work. I got, you know, the next day you just feel like more shit. I tried to do drugs. Didn't work. It just made it more intense. I'm like, okay, well, fuck, I can't do this. I went to doctors. I went to a doctor. 2 doctors told me, I mean, we've talked about the pharmaceutical side of things. One of them basically asked me, what do you want us to put you on? It was wild. I was like, nothing, fucking nothing. I'm like, I'd rather go through this numb because this is so excruciating. Like masking it isn't helping. It just makes it worse. I was drowning. So then I found this. When I look back now, I'm like, holy shit. So I was like a thicker girl. I was plus size when Justin died, but not like in the obese range, right? So I found that when I would eat, it was almost like I became like addicted to food. Like I started to binge eat. And it was like when I could eat, it's like that was the time that I couldn't think about what the fuck happened. It was like I was so focused on food that like that's when I didn't think about that night. That's when I didn't think about like what happened. So I just ate, and I ate excessively, and I ate a lot, and I did it in front of everybody. And it's something that you can do in front of people. And most people aren't going to say anything to you when you get to the level of being like super obese. My mom would say stuff to me like, hey baby, like I want to make sure you're healthy. You need to get your blood pressure checked. Like she was trying to say to me in the most beautiful, loving mommy way that you could say it to your kid. You know what I mean? Like, hey, like we're seeing like this with you. But I got to a point where I weighed almost 400 pounds. And then COVID happened. And I realized I had close neighbors that lost their dad to COVID. And he weighed a lot less than I did. And he wasn't as high risk as me. And I'm like, shit, if I get COVID, I'm going to die on a ventilator and I'm not going to be able to say bye to my mom and dad and my sisters. And that was at a time when we were all like, you know, at home. So I was like, okay, and then I remember looking in the mirror and being like, whoa, like I couldn't believe like the backside of me, like that I was so big. And I was like, holy shit. And like, you know, I had tried fad diets and stuff over the years and this, that, and the other. But like, I would fall off. Like I would try it for a day or two and then I'd be at McDonald's having 2 double cheeseburgers, large fry, 6-piece chicken nugget and a large Coke, and then going back there for lunch and dinner. Like, you know what I mean? I was like bad. I was a bad eater. And I realized like, I'm like, shit, this is so bad. So I looked up online, like how to maintain my weight that I was at with the calories that I had. And I was like, okay, I'm going to minus 800 off that. And then, so I minus 800 off that. And then I was really, really highly addicted to Coca-Cola. Like so bad that I drank so much Coca-Cola, it was like wild. Like I was buying 24 packs like every other day. Like it was bad. Bad. Like extreme. When I look back, I'm like, oh my God, Ashley, like how did you drink that much? But so I went off that cold turkey and it was horrific. I felt like a drug addict. Like I had the worst headaches in the world. I was throwing up. I was shaking at the shakes. Like it was bad. It was like I was on fucking a hard drug.
So how long after Justin passed was this?
Like at the probably 10-year mark.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
I really disassociate. I really didn't jump into dealing fully on with Justin's death until like way later. Year 6, I always tell people, and I know this trips people out, but year 6 was the worst fucking year. Like it was almost like I was coming out of the fog of all the trauma and stuff, and that it was just like, it was hitting me. Like I didn't realize how freaking out of it I was. I was so out of it. And I thought I had everybody fooled. I thought, okay, like I'm moving on with my life. I'm starting a new relationship. I'm jumping into this. I'm jumping into that. I'm running a program. I'm doing this. Like I'm good. But like I was crumbling inside. Like crumbling. And I think that people were just like, oh, she's moving on with her life. Like, yes, she's healed. Like she can, like, you know, she's starting to date again. She's now has this new relationship. She's doing this, she's doing that. I think that they thought, oh, okay, she's healed, she's good. But inside, it was a different story. I wasn't dealing with the suicide. I wasn't dealing with the pain of it. I felt very isolated. I felt very alone. I felt like a fucking loser. Like I couldn't fucking save him because I was there. You know, I was like, anybody could say any fucked up thing to me. Like, your worst enemy could be standing in front of you saying the worst things to you, and they didn't have shit on the shit that I was saying to myself. And I think I got so depressed, and that food was just my crutch, and that I didn't care about me or my life, and I was literally just slowly killing myself. It's like, okay, I didn't kill myself like I wanted to in the beginning, but I was doing something else to slowly kill myself so that I could leave the pain. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, okay, let me just take another avenue into going that route. Because, you know, because in hindsight, if I would have gotten COVID in that in that time period, I would have been put on a freaking ventilator and I probably would have died. I was almost 400 pounds. I had horrible blood pressure. I mean, my medical history was horrible. Like I was not a healthy girl at all, at all.
What was the moment when you changed your life? When you realized you needed to change?
I got outside. I was like, I'm gonna try to like be active again, because I used to be I was a really active kid, and I was really into dancing and all that. And I mean, I did that for like 4 or 5 hours a day. And I was like, let me try to get active again. I haven't been active in years. And so I went outside, and there's native land behind the house, and I tried to hike, and I went half a football field, and I got that far, and then I just started crying because I was like, I can't go any further. Like, I'm like, what a loser. Like I was huffing and puffing, and I was just like, I can't go any further. But I was like, it's COVID, you know, and I really struggled with COVID because I'm a very like people person, and I didn't get to see my people, and I was at home, and I was like, but I'm gonna get up tomorrow, I'm gonna try to go like a few more steps further. So I would go like a few more steps further. And then the next day I was like, okay, I'm gonna go a few more steps further. And I just kept doing that each day. And it was wild. And the next thing I knew, I was shedding weight. Like, I changed everything. I was calorie counting, I started intermittent fasting, I was hiking, and I was shedding the weight. And each Sunday I would weigh myself. And it was wild to get on the scale and see it dropped so much because I was losing weight fast because I was so much bigger, right? I was obese. Like, so I was losing like 8 pounds, 7 pounds, 6 pounds. I mean, that's big weight. Like that, for some people, that's like a freaking month. But I'm seeing these big numbers come across like on the scale, and then I would just cry. It was almost like I was shedding the sadness too. It was super euphoric for me. It was like I was shedding this pain, and then you're out there. I'm on this beautiful native land, and I'm like, and I'm doing this, and I'm just pushing through. And, you know, I would have my neighbors and my friends and people like join ever so often. And then some of them would fall off, right? Because they're not as like into working out every day. But my dog, who is mine and Justin's dog together, she was 13 years old and she would go with me every day, our dog. I went from 365 and then I went down to 199 and I thought I was a badass. I was like, holy shit, I hit in the hundreds. I'm like, I'm doing a boudoir shoot. Like, I'm freaking like the gusto. I'm screaming from the top of the like hills. Like, oh my God, I got all this weight off. And let me tell you, like, I felt like, does it feel good to lose weight and feel sexy again and feel good again and like get your confidence back? Yeah, it's awesome. Like it gasses you up, like you feel good. But I had extreme PTSD and my nightmares were horrific. I would scream, break down, wake up, like it was bad because of how brutal it was losing him. And it was like I couldn't sleep again. And I don't think like, unless you're laying next to me, I don't think and saw that. Like, I don't think anyone gets like how good it felt to sleep. Like that was the best part of losing the weight, is that I couldn't sleep. Because like when you wake up in the morning, you're on your fast forward like version of your life, and like you have to relive everything on a fast forward version, and you like, you know, so you start your day off like remembering everything you went through. But like sleeping was horrific, and it was the best part of losing the weight. It was like this natural thing that I did. You know, I ate right, I worked out, I swam, I hiked, I did all these like just natural things like helped me get to a point of like beating. It's like I was like beating this PTSD, and it's like it's wild. Like this is just coming to me right now as I'm saying this to you guys, but it's like all those medications I showed earlier, like that doctor prescribed Justin all these medications. I mean, the poor guy, he had fucking PTSD from the abuse and all the fucked up shit he went through. And it was like, then I went on this like health journey, and it's like I did all these natural things, and then like, you know, we've talked about it, you and I have, like off camera, like it's like I did all these natural things, and it's like I can sleep again because I took care of myself like naturally. And I was like, it's almost like you feel like you're breaking codes in a sense, and then you're like, fuck, like. And it's why I share the brutality of this whole like situation, because there's people that are going through this right now that are struggling so bad, and they're just like, I know like what they're going through for, you know, to try to find this, you know, comfort or try to find something that's gonna help them. But yeah, the sleeping was wild. It's like I can sleep now. But I was so worn out from like working out and all this, that, and the other. I'm probably like worn out from like taking care of myself, but it was the best part of it. And I tell people that all the time. And don't get me wrong, I'm a glamour girl. I love fashion. I love feeling good. Don't get me wrong, it feels good to feel good and sexy and all that again. But the sleeping is the best part. I tell people all the time. And it's almost like they're kind of shocked because I think they're waiting for me to say like, oh, I feel good about myself again. But yeah, that is great. It did give me confidence again, 100%. But it was like, I'm like battling these like barriers. I'm battling this anxiety. I have extreme anxiety. Like I'm a different person than I was before. I have extreme PTSD. I have severe depression. You know, I just feel like when you're in a battle with yourself with that, and it also made me look at things so differently. Like I also like, you know, like you go down this path of, you're a social worker, you're helping these people. Like, I was like a young 20-year-old social worker. I didn't know shit. And these people would sit across from me at the table and tell me they're suffering from these things. And I would be compassionate and loving, because I'm a loving, compassionate person, but not on the depth of the level that what I've been through now, I can see it so differently. You get an insight into a world that this has changed me. And this journey has made me a better person. I'm a way better person than I was before. And it's made the level of my compassion be so deep. And it's given me this fire to speak out about things, because it's hard to sit here and talk about this stuff. It's fucking brutal. But it also is like powerful in the sense of, I was lacking support and I was searching for somebody for me to not feel alone. And if I can share the story of Justin and I and help somebody, then then that's my purpose. Like, it's like pain and a purpose. It's wild.
This is like the ultimate love story.
Yeah.
But it's also the hero's journey.
Yeah.
And you're the hero. So you went on this journey of tragedy and loss, and you found yourself through all of this. And you're talking about source code, breaking code, realizing that you had the power all along to make these changes. And then as you go through this hero's journey, there's a responsibility now with what you've learned and what you've experienced. And with that being said, here's the next part of that hero's journey, is bringing back your experiences and your knowledge to others and finding that purpose. Can you tell me about that purpose and when you started to create your nonprofit, and change people's lives?
I think that it's like it turned my pain into purpose. And I probably said that throughout tonight. It's like it took me 39 years to figure out what I'm supposed to do. And sharing the brutality and the beauty of what Justin and I endured to help others is been a game changer. New Mexico Fight for Life has saved lives. We've helped families through moments of despair. I think that human connection and connecting with people who've been through something similar is one of the most powerful things you can do. I say that even like our grief coach, her name is Katharina Becker, she showed up at our first gala and was inspired when I was just basically shooting the idea to the world of what I wanted to raise money to create programs. I didn't even have programs created, and I sold a room of 250 people on an idea and shared the brutality and the beauty of the story of what Justin and I went through. And I had other speakers do the same, and they touched everyone's heart. And Catalina, lost her son to suicide 16 years ago. And the way that she connects with our survivors is insane. It's, like I said, like I've said it before, like we broke a code. Like, it's not like a counselor sitting across from you at a table that has never been through what you've been through and is like, oh, I feel sorry for you, hito or hita. Like, it's like they get it. So they get it on a personal level and they get it on a professional level. I've been able to see people, there's been crisis moments and crisis calls where people have been searching for people and we found them. I've had teenagers reach out to me. I've had teenagers worried about other teenagers reach out to me, and I've had a board member and I are trying to figure out who this kid belongs to who, and we only have a first name, and we stayed up all night trying to figure it out, and we figured it out, and we were able to get in touch with the parent and, alert them. I've been able to go into situations and connect with people in the community, veterans, different community members, and do these trainings for them and tell Justin my story. And I've had people come up to me like, I need to go home and have a serious conversation with one of my loved ones. I sit across from the table. Katharina she's a special lady. She's an amazing grief coach. And she told me in the beginning when I hired her, she's like, you're going to come every Wednesday night. And I'm like, what? She's like, you got to participate. I want you there to share. And it has been one of the most, and I just was like, oh my gosh, Katharina, I'm trying to hire you to do this, X, Y, and Z, and I'll try to come. But it's been a place where I go every Wednesday night, and I've connected with people, strangers from all over, that I sit across from the table from these human beings who walk in the door, and they've lost from a couple weeks ago, from 50 years ago to 10 years ago to 20 years ago. And we have these deep, deep moments, and where I can see the weight lifted off their shoulders. And some, connects with me, and, we've built this family on Wednesday night. And sometimes strangers walk in that door and they become a part of our family. And I've fallen in love with them. I've shared the deepest parts of my journey with them. They know extremely deep parts of my life that even, some of my closest friends don't even know. And it's created a table of community, of support, where people don't feel alone. And that I feel like we're really making an effort to break the stigma and for people to not feel ashamed. And I have fallen in love with these people who have killed themselves, who I've learned from them through these people that show up every Wednesday night. It's almost like I know them. And I would be friends with some of them. And it's wild. And I feel like I've transcended and made a conscious effort to just transcend Justin's legacy into something positive, into saving lives and helping people through this. And I feel like for some reason, something bigger than me decided that I needed to go through this and that I needed to share this. And I somehow found this strength. And then it took me a while. I didn't do this in the beginning. I hit year 10 and I was like, okay, I think I can share. And I think I pulled from that. I was in my 20s and I was so lost, and I was in a city that I was in the city of Santa Fe where I've only been here for 2 years. I didn't know that many people. And I just pulled from what I wish I would have had. I think my healing journey would have looked a lot different if I would have had some of these programs and things that I've put in place for the community now. And I think this is just the beginning for New Mexico Fight for Life. I think that this is, survivors helping survivors, and I think that's powerful. And I think that it has changed my world, and I look at it now in the people that I've connected with, and when we have moments of breakthrough, or when we save someone's life, or we jump in and we get someone help, or I ease, or that family feels a little bit of ease for, even if it's for a night, I feel okay, we're slowly getting there. And it's like Justin's sacrifice, and then my survival is become a guide for some people. And if that, Justin and I believed, we were the Virgos in us, right? sound like one of those astrology people, but like it's like we're lovers and like we love so big, and if our story had to come to an end for me to interact in with other people and their journeys and for his legacy to live on to touch others' lives, then that's like, I know Justin, like I know that's all he wanted. And I think he went through a lot here on earth, and I think that we had this magical time when it was us, but I think he went through some really messed up shit, and I think in his death, he's like so proud. I know he is. Like, I know, I feel him around me. Like, I see the signs. Like, I'm very open to that. And like, and just how this has come to fruition is just like, you can't make it up. Like it's like it is meant to be.
You're, first off, I just want to thank you for doing this, because one is I think your story is a remarkable story.
Thank you.
And it serves as a way to help others that have gone through this experience and that are going through this experience. And it's saving lives. And I mean, we've had some pretty impactful interviews in the past. But at least for me, you know, knowing that we're fourth in the nation and second when it comes to teen and adolescent suicide is a huge eye-opener for me. And I hope that our elected representatives and just collectively our community can do better when it comes to this. So, I mean, this was a very important interview.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me and allowing me to share. This is a topic that people don't want to talk about, you know, and it makes people uncomfortable. And but we got to talk about mental health more, and we got to talk about this because people's lives are at stake and people feel alone. And if we can, like I said, even spark a conversation that needs to happen, or we can, you know, try to connect with somebody, like, then that's what we're here to do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for, you know, being brave and coming and talking to us. And thank you for everything that you do. I mean, you work so hard. I've seen that firsthand. You know, you really put your heart into this stuff. And thanks for sharing that all with us. I think it's important for our community to see you, you know, to see what you're doing. So,
thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say to Santa Fe while you're here and the cameras are on?
Oh my goodness. You have all night. You know, if you are feeling suicidal or you are struggling, the 988 suicide hotline is always available. It's 24/7. They have crisis counselors available. You can text, you can call. And so please use that. If you ever need help or need support, please also reach out to New Mexico Fight for Life. You can reach all of our information is online at www.newmexicofightforlife.com.
What's that phone number again?
You can 988. It's the 988. So you just hit pound 988. That's it.
Pound 988.
Yep, and you can text it too, and you get immediately connected to a crisis counselor.
If you had one thing to say to our elected officials, the people that, you know, write our laws, the people that allocate monies towards things, what would you say to those people?
I believe we are in a crazy crisis right now. We're in a state of emergency, if you want my honest opinion. I know there's been other bills and stuff set in place for mental health, but supporting like organizations like myself and other small nonprofits that do this work, that are boots on the ground, is what we need. Human connection is the biggest thing, and we need more resources here and more support in our schools, most definitely, because we rank second for adolescent suicide. And then we definitely need men's mental health is at an all-time high here in New Mexico. We're up for suicides for Hispanic males by 30% right now. So we've got to do something there to support. And so I invite any elected officials or anyone to come and shadow me for a week, come see what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, and where we can work together to create more programs and get more funding for all these different programs that are out there, and that we can create more programs, and not just like in, you know, the areas of like Santa Fe, northern New Mexico, and those like prime areas, but also in the rural areas, because that's where we're struggling, because there's not that many resources out there in those rural areas, and we're really struggling there.
If somebody wants to donate their time or their resources or their money towards your organization, the work that you're doing, where can they go?
They can go to our website at www.newmexicofightforlife.com, and there's direct donation links there. You can also sign up to be volunteers. We're having a gala. We do it. That's how I started off the organization. Is we do a gala during Suicide Prevention Month, and what it is it's a dinner, dance, silent auction, and what it does is we raise money so that I can fund those programs that I created, and that can fund them for the year. So that's how we do it. We do it through all fundraising.
When's the next gala?
It is September 27th. It's at the Rail Yard at the Pavilion. It's going to be amazing. It starts at 6 o'clock. You can get tickets and everything on the website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ashley, thank you.
Eli, we'll be there, right?
We're going to be at the gala.
Okay.
You're going to be there.
We're all going to be at the gala.
Yes.
Yes, of course we are. All right. Thanks, Ashley.
What a tremendous interview.
What do you guys think?
Still see your breath from the moment you left. It happened so fast, I miss you. Not a day still goes by that I don't hear your cry. Turn back the time, I miss you. All of the things I wish I would have said or done to make you come back, but all I've left is a heart that is breaking in two. Could you come? Thought I could be what you needed, but no sense in now still believing I didn't give you a reason to stay. But don't walk away. Through all of your fears, could be what you needed, but no sense in now still believing I didn't give you a reason to stay.